What's up, everyone? My name is Edson Cardona, and I want to welcome you guys to the hashtag Let's Kick It series. On these episodes, we get the pleasure to be joined by professional athletes, get a little insight on their background and how they made it this far in their athletic careers. A conversation between athletes about their journeys leading them to success. I hope you guys enjoy. What's up, everyone? How y'all doing? Hope you are keeping safe with the COVID-19 pandemic, and my hope is that we are all doing our part in standing in solidarity with the racial justice movement and against police brutality because Black Lives Matter. On this episode, I have the honor to introduce Stephen Wilson.
Helped out by some position players pitching for the Rainiers. And the pitch is a swing and a miss, strike three, and that's the ball game. 2-2. Swing and a miss on an inside fastball. Empty. Here's the pitch. Swung on and missed.
He's from Littleton, Colorado, drafted in 2012, 35th round by Philadelphia Phillies. That was his senior year in high school. Medical redshirt freshman year with shoulder injury when he went to Santa Clara University, and another medical redshirt his fifth year with the elbow surgery. Drafted as a sixth-year senior in 2018, 8th round with the Padres, made it to AAA his first full year, and was in his first big league start before the COVID-19 hit. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Stephen. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. How's COVID-19 treating you?
Hey, it's going all right. They just shut everything back down in Colorado, so it's crazy, but we're all going through it together, so it's not terrible.
I hear that, man. I appreciate you joining us on the hashtag Let's Kick It series, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so let's get started. I mean, your career as a baseball athlete, I mean, how was that? When did that start? How old were you started and knew that baseball, I mean, was something that you liked?
I started playing, I think I was 6, was the first year I played coach pitch. And my dad was a professional umpire, so when I was young, I would always go out and watch him umpire. And he did a bunch of like college games too, so I was always around baseball. And so that's kind of where I got into it and loved baseball. And I played other sports throughout the year. I played basketball and football. But in the long run, baseball was just the one that I loved the most and stuck with. So yeah, I'm coming up on 20 years of playing baseball this year.
Congratulations, man.
That just means I'm getting old, almost 26.
Yeah, how did you know that baseball was kind of the path that you're going to take? I mean, out of all the sports that you were playing, I mean, baseball was that one sport that you kind of leaned towards more. How did you know that was going to be the sport that you're going to play, I mean, throughout high school? And
Yeah, I'd say it was probably like my sophomore year of high school. I played basketball that year and then baseball in the spring. And after that baseball season, I kind of did some self-reflecting and realized that I wasn't all that passionate about basketball. I was decent at it. And I really thought about it. I was like, I think I want to do baseball full time. I want to play baseball in college. So if I'm going to do that, I should kind of dive in now as a sophomore in high school and kind of give it everything I got for a couple years and see what happens. And it ended up working out. My last 2 years of high school played baseball full time and had a handful of college scholarship offers and ended up choosing Santa Clara. So it was great. Yeah, one of the best decisions I've made, I think.
throughout that process of being recruited and going and getting all these offers, I mean, you got that offer your senior year as well, being drafted to the Phillies. How was that? I mean, how did that go about? I mean, what were your emotions? I mean, you're just like with all this going on. So how was that for you?
Man, it was a crazy time. I committed to Santa Clara I think, yeah, the fall of my senior year. And then, I mean, I really didn't have any expectations going into the draft. I was pretty dead set on Santa Clara. And the last day of the draft, I was sitting at work. I was working at an outdoor pool. And I was sitting at work, and actually, my boss, I think, is watching this right now. He was my boss at the outdoor pool. But yeah, I was sitting there at work and got a call from the Phillies, and they were like, "Hey, we're thinking about taking you in the next round." And I was like, oh, "Okay, like that's crazy. I was not expecting this." And like 2 minutes later, we had turned on the radio at the pool, and they said my name, and it was kind of crazy. But then the next month after that was probably the most interesting because with baseball they try to sign like their first rounder first, and then they kind of go down the list. And I was 35th round, so I was the 35th guy they were trying to sign. And so I ended up not meeting with them. I got drafted, I think it was like June 6th, and I didn't end up meeting with them until like July 12th. So it was a full month, and I had just done my orientation out at Santa Clara, and I was pretty set. I'm like, hey, I'm going here. And they actually flew out to California to sit down and meet with my family and I. And they gave me the offer, but the deadline was that night. So I got the offer about 8 o'clock at night. And I had 4 hours to decide if I wanted to go to college or play professional baseball. And I made a lot of phone calls to a lot of people I trusted and kind of got their view, their insight, and ended up choosing to go to college, which in the long run I think was the right decision. So I was happy with that.
That's amazing, man. I applaud you for that because not a lot of people, athletes, have that, choice to either go to school or go professionally right out of high school. I mean, our dream as athletes is to get that after college, but I mean,
Yeah.
and that's also very important that you thought and saw it out and was like, hey, having a plan B is also very important for me as an athlete or for yourself. And you figured it out that, hey, what if, not saying, I mean, that's probably athletes never want to think about this. If you get injured, what's plan B?
Yeah.
For you chose the right path. And I'm happy for you. I'm happy that you can say now, like, that was the right path that I took.
Yeah. Yeah, it was not the smoothest path, as I think we'll get to in your next couple questions, but it was definitely the right choice now that I'm looking back at it.
Yeah. How was the transition after now going from high school into Santa Clara, being that rookie? How was that for you and seeing like, all right, this is now another step for me to prove myself, not only to myself, but the coaches, the players as well. How was that for you?
It was honestly pretty difficult my freshman year because I came in and I had a little bit of a shoulder injury, and so I started throwing, and I was trying to practice and everything in the fall, and my shoulder just kept getting worse and worse. And so freshman year I ended up just battling through a shoulder injury the whole year. I was in physical therapy for a little over 4 months, and I didn't travel with the team. I didn't play in any games, so you kind of miss out on that, which was a bummer. But I think that was a really big year for me because it allowed me to mature physically and mentally. I think I put on like 20 or 30 pounds my freshman year. I was a skinny dude coming out of high school, and so it allowed me to kind of get the college baseball experience without losing a year. Like, because say I went out and pitched anyways and then got hurt and lost that year of eligibility. That didn't happen, which was good, and it allowed me to kind of to grow up and get used to the game and kind of get a feel for how things went at the college level. So yeah, it was a tough first year, but in the end, I think it was a good thing.
Yeah, you spoke a little bit about your injury and how that affected your mental and, of course, not being able to play. What do you think was still the motivation for yourself to, I mean, keep on going? There's a lot of players who do get injured, and I mean, not only did you get injured your first year, but you also got injured later on in college. So for you, what do you think were the main things that kept you going? Kept you saying, all right, this is another obstacle that I got to beat, you know what I'm saying?
hmm
And what was it for you that kept you going?
A big part of it is just how much I love the game of baseball. Like, it's been part of my life since, like I said earlier, since I was 6 years old. So it's been such a huge thing, and I had always, like, my dream was always to play professional baseball, and um, I knew that a little shoulder injury. I had never had an injury till college, so going into my freshman year, like, it didn't need surgery, so I knew it wasn't a terrible injury. It just required some physical therapy, and I knew that at the end of the day, I wanted to play professional baseball, and for that to happen, I just needed to hammer out the rehab and kind of get healthy again and start playing. And so that's kind of what pushed me originally. I really wanted to play college baseball too. So I had yet to play in my freshman year, and I knew it's what I wanted to do. So that's what kept me going every day that freshman year of college.
And that's good because, I mean, mentally coming in as a first year, you see so many things. And the first thing for you was getting injured, and
Yeah,
that's what you came for. I mean, you wanted to play,
yeah,
like you said, too. I mean, mentally, that made you very strong. A lot of players go into, I guess, injuries and, fight it out a little bit, get grinded, but they don't come out the same. And fortunately for you, I mean, you beat the case twice. So that's amazing. So now going into later on in your years, how was it being injured once again, and how was that transition for you having to go through the same process?
yeah. The second one was definitely more tough. So I played my sophomore year, junior year, and senior year. After my junior year, I had an opportunity to go play pro ball, and it didn't end up working out. I decided to come back to Santa Clara again for my senior year because I still had 2 years of eligibility. And that year was actually the year I initially tore my elbow. So I threw most of that season in 2016 with a torn elbow. Um, and a couple of my starts late in the season were bad. They were really bad, and my velocity was down. I was like 90 to 94, and then my last few outings, I was throwing like 84 to 86. Like, I knew something was wrong. My elbow wasn't right, and because of that, I didn't really have an opportunity after my senior year to play professional baseball. Nobody really called, and so that was kind of a bummer. And I kind of knew something was wrong. My arm hurt all the time, and I knew something wasn't right, but I was just throwing through it, trying to get that opportunity to play professionally.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so I came back for a fifth year in 2017, and that January is when my elbow got really bad, and I finally got an MRI, and it was almost fully torn. So I ended up getting surgery the second week of February in 2017, and that was my fifth year of college. Um, so that's not ideal either because now I've got my degree, I'm done. Half of me was thinking I should just start working, like hang it up, get the surgery, so that when I'm older I could play catch with my kids or old man softball or whatever. And but then after I had some talks with some people, and I decided, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give it one last go. I'm gonna enroll in grad school, start a master's program. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but that was the only way I could keep playing. And
Yeah.
so I was like, I'll enroll in grad school and play one more year, and then after that, if nothing happens, then at least I'll have a master's degree. So
Yeah.
that was kind of my thought process at that point, and I still had the desire to play professional baseball. So I didn't I didn't want to hang up the cleats quite yet. So I gave it one more run in 2018, and it ended up working out. So that was good.
No, definitely. I mean, for sure, something to admire because being an athlete going through so much, I mean, you definitely see the lowest point, and where you have been. And you can see, okay, this is where I am. This is the grind that I have to take once again to go to the top. And like you said, it all happened. It happened maybe for a reason, having to
Yep.
go through it again, making you strong mentally more and more. And now it all paid off. I mean, getting signed, I mean, congratulations. That's a dream
Thank you,
come
man.
true once again, having that offer for the second time. I mean, people don't usually have that, and I applaud you for that. And that moment for you, how was that? I mean, now a second round going again, getting that call and being like, "Hey, we want you." I mean, how was that for you?
It was awesome, man. Just coming off the 2018 season, we had to somewhat rush my rehab for my elbow so that I could play my 6th year.
Yeah.
Um, Thankfully, I didn't run into any issues, no setbacks. And then in June of 2018, I was sitting in my apartment in Domicilio. Um, I was with John Cresto, um, just sitting in our apartment watching the draft live. And it's funny because I didn't get a call or anything. We were sitting there watching the live stream, and it came up on the TV before I ever knew. So we're just
Oh
sitting there,
man.
and we see my name pop up, and we were like, "Oh, let's go!" Like, and then they announced that I got drafted, and then I got a call from the Padres a few minutes after they had drafted me. So it wasn't like I knew that my name was coming soon, like I did in high school.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, this time we were just sitting there, and my name popped up on the TV, and we were like, "Let's go!" Like, so it was awesome. It was a great day, dude. That was kind of, and I knew I was going to go play pro ball at that point, so I knew that I had reached one of the milestones that I've always wanted to. So it was an awesome day.
Yeah, and I mean that's very, very exciting for you. I mean, starting another journey, starting this again, now being pro. I mean, how was that transition now? Okay, I finished high school, I finished college, and now I mean you're at the top league. I mean,
Yeah.
how's that for you? And what still keeps you motivated now, being in the big leagues, transitioning on being a rookie once again? What keeps you motivated now?
Yeah. So the transition to pro ball, it actually wasn't very smooth either because going in or halfway through my last season at Santa Clara, I ended up getting two hernias.
Oh,
And I was pitching with those, just trying to throw through it. And I got to pro ball, and they knew about them. And I ended up only throwing like 9 innings my first season, and then I had to fly to San Diego and get surgery on both of those. I think that was in like the end of July. I got surgery that year. Um, and then I was just rehabbing. I actually came back to Santa Clara to finish up my master's program. I had like 4 classes left, so I was at Santa Clara that next fall and just did all my rehab for the surgery, and then was training for the next season. Um, and yeah, so I just got a taste of pro ball, and then I had to go get another surgery, and I was like, what the hell? Like, what's
oh
going on?
wow.
And so after that, it was kind of go time after that. My motivation was like, hey, I don't want to always be hurt. I want to have a really good productive season in pro ball. And so that whole first off season, I mean, it was easy for me to go work out every day. I wanted to get to spring training in March and prove something to everybody. Like, I was already older, and with how it is in baseball, like, it's if you're a senior sign or an older guy out of college, it's kind of, they're just going to feed you to the wolves. Like, they're going to put you in games and situations, and it's either like sink or swim. So you're not like the high school kid that gets a bunch of opportunities for 3, 4, 5 years before they finally cut you. It's like, hey, you're
Is
old
it?
enough. We got to see if you have it or if you don't, and if you don't, then we'll move on. And so it was definitely it was a first bad taste in pro ball just because of the surgery, and I didn't get to play that first full season. But then this last season was really good. I was healthy the whole year. Um, that was like the first healthy season I had since like 2013. So that was awesome. But yeah, man, I think that was the motivation, just get healthy and prove something, like show people that I belong in pro ball, and kind of prove it to myself, honestly, because I hadn't been healthy all that long. So it was like, hey, you need to, like, is this something you can do? And let's see what happens. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun so far, and I'm excited. This year has kind of been a bummer, but
Yeah.
we'll see what happens next year. So
No, yeah, it was a bumpy journey for sure, but I mean, you are where you wanted to be. I mean, as a young kid, as a young athlete, and who can you, I think, credit your success to after now seeing everything that you've gone through? I mean, who do you think you
phew.
can credit your success to?
I mean, a lot of it is my parents, obviously. Long road trips for like youth baseball, high school baseball, putting up the money for me to play. Um, and then from there, all the coaches I've had along the road, my high school coaches, my club team in high school, and then getting into college, my pitching coach Gabe Rebus, he's the minor league coordinator or the pitching coordinator for the Dodgers now, and so he kind of taught me everything I knew in college, and we've always kept in touch ever since. So he's been an awesome coach since I started college, and then outside of that, I mean, a lot of the people with the Padres now, a lot of the pitching coordinators and physical therapy staff, training staff, like they've all been great and kept me healthy last season, and was having a good spring this year until the coronavirus hit and they sent everybody home. So there's a lot of people to credit for helping me along the way.
No, and that's great to have that as well as an athlete, being away from home or wherever you are, having that backbone, your family being there and those coaches who also help you along the way. I mean, I know COVID-19 shut down your guys' season, but how was that for you? I mean, getting your first, starts and all that, putting on the jersey, having to play, throwing your first pitch. How was that for you? How was all of that?
It was awesome, man. Going from almost quitting baseball my last year when I needed Tommy John in college, and then fast forward 2 years, I was pitching in AAA and got my first invite to big league spring training. Um, it was cool. It was a quick turnaround, a crazy turnaround. It definitely made all the rehab and all the time with the physical therapist worth it. It was a blast, and yeah, I got two outings in spring training. It was the Cubs were my first outing, and then the White Sox my second outing, and then the week after that is when they sent everybody home. So it was awesome, man, and it was a cool experience being around all the big league guys. Obviously, my goal is to get there one day, so I think when you surround yourself with people that are there and can give you advice, and there's been guys in the Padres organization that I've looked up to that have given me some great advice and kind of helped me along this journey in pro ball. And so I'm just excited to continue that. Hopefully, get another big league invite next year. There's actually still a chance that I go and be part of the 60-man squad this year. But we'll see. Hopefully everybody stays healthy. But yeah, I mean, this Corona thing's crazy, and it kind of it ruined the whole season for minor leaguers. The big leaguers are about to start playing again. So, um, but yeah, overall it's been great, and everybody's getting through this Corona thing. It just gives us extra time to train and get that much better for next year. So yeah, just looking forward to that next spring training.
No, yeah, most definitely. I mean, seeing you there too as a fan, like watching all this, seeing all the posts that you make. I mean, it's really amazing to see. And after hearing your story as well, a lot of athletes who go through what you've gone don't make it that far.
Yeah.
It's a few athletes who go through a lot of injuries and go through pretty much hell and back. I mean, you're pretty much pushed all the way down and you got up, and I'm proud of you. I mean, as a friend, that's amazing to see because you made it so far. I mean, you made your family proud and mostly you made yourself proud, and that's great to see, you know. And if you could, I mean, give advice to your younger self, I mean, the journey that you've taken now, what would it be?
I think the biggest thing would be, oh man, going back to like senior year of high school, freshman year of college would be, it's kind of a cliche saying, but like work smarter, not harder. I think a big problem and why I was getting injured so much is that like my body, like I wasn't functioning right, like I wasn't moving right. Because coming out of high school, I was like, oh, I'm going to college, play baseball. I just need to get huge. I need to get in the weight room and lift weights and try to get as big as I can. And I came to find out that that was actually doing me a disservice. Like I got a lot bigger and a lot stronger, but my body wasn't moving like it should. And I think that's what caused the shoulder issues. I think that's what ended up causing the elbow issues. So going back then, I would say, and it's almost another cliche saying like, do the work that's hard, like don't, or I forget kind of how it goes, but like do the work that's hard, like don't just work hard, do the work that's hard. And I think for me, like doing in my lifts and everything, doing more mobility and more functional movement is the work that's hard. Like it's easy to go and just like throw some weight around, which is what I was doing, but I was getting hurt doing that.
Yeah.
And so going back, I would just say like with my training programs, just be a lot smarter about it and learn more. I just didn't even know better. So that's what I would say. And then just being consistent, like that was another thing, and being consistent with those workouts or with my throwing programs or everything. I think consistency is huge. There's going to be those days where you don't want to go out and lift. It sounds terrible, or you don't want to go throw, or you don't want to go run, but setting a schedule for yourself and then sticking to that schedule, I think is huge. So yeah, that would be my advice to myself back when I was a senior in high school.
No, yeah, definitely. I mean, having that work ethic, and like you said, and being smarter on what you do is what's going to make you that elite player. A lot of, like you said, you thought that just putting on weight and just throwing weight around, I mean,
Yeah,
that was going to get you there. But like you said, it was how you did it, not how much it was. And
exactly.
and so for my last question, I mean, the best experience that you probably had, I mean, it's playing already, getting your starts. But what was that one, game that you can remember like it was yesterday, where no one was, you're getting strikeouts, 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 like no one can hit. And so what was that experience for you? What day or game was that?
Oh man, a really big one was my junior year of college. We went and played Vanderbilt opening weekend. Um, they had just won the national championship the year before, and we were opening the season there. And I pitched the second game of that series. We lost the first game, I think 4-0, and I pitched the second game of that series, and we ended up winning that game. And so I think that was one of my favorite baseball moments. I had like a rough first inning that game, but then kind of cruised after that, and so that was great. And then, man, I think the other one was just spring training this year, just putting on a big league uniform, being on the same lineup card as some big leaguers and having them play in the field behind me. Like it was a pretty cool feeling, and there was definitely a lot of adrenaline, and it was, I mean, it's something I'll definitely never forget.
Yeah, I mean, going a little bit along the lines with you playing, I mean, how were the nerves for you? I mean, a lot of people when they get there, like you said, the adrenaline's pumping, and I mean, you talked about being consistent and not getting your starts in. I mean, how was that for you? Now, being nervous, of course, but once you
Mhm.
get on the pitch, it was like, all right, nothing can stop me.
Yeah, it's weird. So I'm a relief pitcher, so we're sitting down in the bullpen all game. Spring training's a little different because you're kind of scheduled. They tell you what innings you're going to throw.
Yeah,
But for me, like the only time I ever have nerves and like butterflies is when I'm sitting in the bullpen waiting for them to call down to say, "Hey, Wilson, like get hot, you're going in the game."
yeah,
And so, but once that hits and I start throwing and I'm warming up in the bullpen, like all of that leaves. It's just adrenaline through the roof, and it's kind of go time at that point. Um, but yeah, the nerves and everything is all just anticipating that call, and
yeah,
it's weird. And you're sitting down there, and during the season, you don't know who they're going to call. So you hear the phone ring, and you see every pitcher. They just get up, start moving, and I think we all kind of feel that way in the bullpen because it's like, okay, I've been sitting here for 6 innings. Is it time to go? And then when they call your name, it's just kind of go time. And at that point, I usually don't have any nerves. I wasn't nervous stepping on the mound in spring training. Yeah, it's more the anticipation of
Yeah.
finally getting the call and then going in.
Was it a surreal moment for you? Like, did you ever find yourself like, damn, like I'm here, like all those trainings I had when I was young, all those times I was like mad because of this, because of that. I mean, did you find yourself ever being like looking around and like seeing all these guys and be like, all right, this is it?
Yeah, I would say that was kind of like this spring training when I got there, week one, and I'm in the locker room, and our whole big league team's there. I'm sharing a locker room with them, and it's like, damn, like there's a lot of work coming into this, and you kind of get emotional for a second, and you're like this is crazy. This is what I've always dreamed of. This is what I've always wanted to do, and now you're in a position to like fulfill that dream and to live it out. And so I think it was just like getting into the big league clubhouse in spring training was that moment for me.
No, that's amazing, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time that you're giving us to the hashtag Let's Kick It series. And I thank you, man. I appreciate it. I can't wait for what's next for you. Hopefully, get that call up soon, too, to go to the big team. So I thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on, man.
No problem, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, sounds good.
All right, brother.
Bye.
For all those who joined, thank you for joining us. Once again, I thank you, Stephen, for being and joining us on the hashtag Let's Kick It series. I hope nothing for the best, and I hope you get called up in that 60-man team. So we'll see you guys soon.